Good morning and welcome to AM News Presents the Morning Report with Rachel Baird and Ed Peruta. We're here every Monday through Thursday from 7 to 7:30 a.m. We are handling everything on our own because Master Control is on vacation. We expect him back perhaps tomorrow morning. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Rachel. How are you?
Ed and I also do a show called Summary Judgment on Saturdays from 4 to 6. Let's get right to it, Ed. Yesterday, the Supreme Court denied cert in the petition in your case, Peruta v. California, used to be known as Peruta v. San Diego. I know you're putting on no, seriously.
No. Listen,
the way I think about it is this has been going on for 8 years, and it's done. In one instant, it's done.
Over.
And it's hard. It's hard because it becomes part of your identity. I mean, even with an attorney, when you're living with a case this long, and all of a sudden it's just gone, it can be devastating. Now, I know for Chuck Michelle and the NRA, they have a lot of other cases in the pipeline. They plan for this. They know not every case is going to make it all the way, and so they strategize, and good for them for doing that. Attorneys like me, we have cases that we put our heart and soul in, and we're not big organizations, and so I can sympathize with you, and I'm sure Chuck, to a certain extent, is devastated as well, but he knows he has backups. But I can commiserate with you and sympathize with you how devastating it is when something like this happens, but I think we have to look at a lot of bright sides to it.
My turn?
Go ahead.
Okay. Contrary to statements being made that I'm upset.
Not upset.
I know he's putting on a good face, but I know he's upset.
It's like a loss. I'll put it this way. It's like a loss.
Okay, let's now,
and I don't mean a loss in a game. It's like a loss of a part of you.
Let's take it piece by piece.
Okay.
In 2009, when I filed my federal lawsuit, I thought I had a good issue. Justice Thomas agrees with me. Justice Gorsuch agrees with Justice Thomas. Gorsuch.
Let's pronounce his name correctly.
Let's go through the trials and tribulations. Up, down, winning 2-1, lose 7-4, go to the Supreme Court, Justice Scalia passes away, and there's a vacancy on the Supreme Court. And there's an election coming in November of 2016. And one of the main concerns with who is going to sit in the Oval Office was who is going to make appointments to fill Justice Scalia's seat and the seats that may come due in the next 4 years and possibly the next 8 years. That was the battle cry of the election, and that's what a lot of people were paying attention to, including the NRA, when Donald Trump came and addressed the NRA in Louisville.
Yes.
Okay. I believe that Donald Trump knows of my case because I was invited to meet him in Bridgeport, Connecticut when he was on the campaign trail. I have a person who knows Donald Trump, and I would imagine that the case has been discussed. The election took place on November 8th. What small part did my case in the Second Amendment have in the outcome of the national election for President of the United States? I don't know what it was, but I know that it was part of the formula for the votes that he had in his column and the electoral college votes that he had to win. I know deep in my heart that to some degree the Second Amendment, the Supreme Court, and possibly the case being discussed at the time, Peruta v. San Diego / California, was a factor in getting him into the White House. Without a doubt, I know that the NRA supporting him we've got cases coming up. The one that's in the front of the line is Peruta v. California / San Diego. He was aware of it. He is aware of it. And I'm sure that yesterday he became acutely aware of it. To me, if my filing a lawsuit in 2009 resulted in Donald Trump's election in any way, shape, or form on November 8th, 2016, I'm a happy camper.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, I have passed a message to an individual asking that individual to get a message to the Oval Office.
To your president.
To my president. That reciprocity in the form of federal legislation is now a viable, necessary piece of legislation that needs to go through the House, the Senate, and signed by the president.
But I only see positive developments in the future. I mean, that's great. Let's get reciprocity legislated, but let's also get cases up to the Supreme Court as Donald Trump has the opportunity to perhaps appoint new justices to replace old ones.
Not just justices.
Right.
Donald Trump is going to be appointing people to the federal bench at the district court level. There's vacancies. He's going to be appointing people to the appellate or U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals level, and he will appoint someone to the Supreme Court in the next 3.5 years. I know, without a doubt, that what happened yesterday at the Supreme Court is going to be part of the equation when he goes to select judges. Not, I want somebody that supports the Second Amendment. I want somebody who's going to read the Second Amendment, understand what the framers were talking about, and that's the kind of person I want. Now, I will forever be written up as Edward Peruta et al. Versus California et al. The question is, did I really lose? Well, that case down in Texas, where the judge said, it wasn't clear when you got arrested, but I'm going to make it clear from this day forward. He lost. But in fact, he won for everybody in the future. I believe that my case, and we don't know how many, we don't know if another judge, they had 3. We know of 2. But there could have been 3.
Well, there's an interesting dynamic that happened. There's that case out of the Third Circuit, Binderup versus Sessions. And that's a case where the Second Amendment won, basically, in the Third Circuit, because the court ruled that even though the man had been convicted of a crime that could result in more than 1 year in jail, because it was defined as a misdemeanor, then he wasn't barred forever. It was a crime of domestic violence. Then he wasn't barred forever for having handguns or guns. And I'm not sure if it was domestic violence. Maybe it was just a felony versus a misdemeanor issue. But the Second Amendment won in that Third Circuit case. And the Supreme Court refused to take cert, which means that's good. That's a good thing. If you win at the circuit level and the Supreme Court doesn't take cert, you win. And Sotomayor and Ginsburg dissented. And then you have your case where the Second Amendment lost in the circuit and the Supreme Court didn't take it. That's a loss for the Second Amendment. And Thomas and Gorsuch dissented. It almost seems like,
they made a deal.
They say juries sometimes compromise. you know, in cases where they're not in agreement, so they kind of settle in the middle, it almost seems like they compromised on that. They say, okay, we're not going to take this, we're not going to take this, you two are really unhappy, you two are really unhappy, get it out, let's go on. I know, doesn't it? It just is. And then what about the Masterpiece Cake Shop? Boy, there was a lot of commentary on Facebook and everywhere else yesterday. You're taking this case, but you're not going to clarify that the Second Amendment guarantees the right to defend yourself outside your home. Yeah, there was a lot of commentary about that. But, you know, not to cast any shade on Masterpiece Cake Shop, because that's an important issue for the cake shop owner that lost. And so good for him. He's going to have that resolved. I don't know if it's going to go in his favor or not. That's another thing. Just because you get up to the Supreme Court and get cert doesn't guarantee you're going to win.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And maybe it's not time for your case yet. Maybe we need another justice on there before a case like yours is heard. I mean, you took a hit personally on this. You put money into it. You're not going to get your permit now. But thinking at a more global level, maybe it wasn't the right time for the team. I mean, you filed this case before McDonald was even decided. You filed this case before the Supreme Court had extended the right to self-defense in your own home to the people in the states. They had already decided Heller, but they had not decided McDonald yet. You were somewhat at the forefront, and let's not forget all the cases like yours that preceded Heller and McDonald, where people had great arguments, great facts, but they were shot down because Heller and McDonald had not yet been decided. I mean, there are a lot of people like you that didn't even make it that far, didn't even have as much of an impact, but it's just piling brick upon brick upon brick to get where you're going. And you're a really important brick in that.
Well, I just want to make it clear that if I was to sit there and say, I put a lot of money into it in the beginning, I'm never going to get my legal fees, I wanted the permit to carry, I'm not going to get it.
Yeah, that's
At least I'm not going to get it as a resident of San Diego, which doesn't mean I can't be a resident of some other part of California, because I have multiple residences. That's not the issue. The issue is, can I sit here on June 27, 2017, and know that a lot of positive results came from my filing that case in 2009. Do I look beyond my personal disappointment in not getting my money back or not getting a permit? Do I look beyond that? Oh, absolutely. I'm looking at the bigger picture. That, and I'll say it again, he's my president. I supported him when he came down the escalator. We supported him all the way through. He is my president. And right now, there is a House and a Senate that are controlled by the Republican Party. And if the Republican Party wants to enact reciprocity, I believe it would happen. Now, here's what I was told. Yeah, but if you do it through legislation, it really doesn't give the strength of a core constitutional right. It was legislated.
Well, I kind of said that, but I don't think my voice sounded like that when I said it.
But here's what I'm saying. With reciprocity, people who carry handguns for self-defense will be able to cross state lines without fear of being arrested. People will know that there's other people coming into the state from other states carrying firearms for personal protection. People may see more people carrying firearms in states where they don't carry firearms. And society will begin to understand that there are people who have taken a training course, who carry a firearm for personal protection of themselves and their family. And in some cases, it could be the people around them. I think that as long as and yesterday, as soon as I read it, even before I read it, I was talking here about reciprocity.
We talked about it a couple weeks ago with Matt Valentine.
I told Matt Valentine from Politico, and I did he do an article?
No, I haven't seen it
I haven't seen it. I explained that, to me, regardless of what happens, there has to be reciprocity. Reciprocity means you don't have to buy 5 different pistol permits to carry in every state you go through as a constitutional right. What you do is you buy one and every other state has to recognize it. So, yeah, that is how I feel on the morning of June 27, 2017. I've spoken to Chuck Michel. I've spoken to Paul Newhart. Paul Newhart said that it was a good run. They've both explained to me that I will forever be Peruta v. California. The case that was lost, the case that didn't get accepted. But I got to tell you, when I read Irma Gonzalez's initial decision on the motion to dismiss in my case at the district court level, it's my understanding that was the first federal judge to ever place this right, the Second Amendment right, outside the home. Paul Newhart got that. Well, then some hocus pocus went on about open carry, unloaded, and I lost on summary judgment. Went up to the Ninth Circuit. Like everybody else, starts off in a 3-judge panel. 3-judge panel heard the arguments, rendered a decision in my favor, 2-1, and I read the judge's decision.
Yeah, let's not skip over that too fast. Judge O'Scanlan, whom I understand may be on somewhat retired status now or whatever, what a decision he wrote for you. Let's not forget, I think it was 80 pages that judge wrote. Articulate, reasoned, passioned.
A lot smarter than me.
Finding in your favor.
A lot smarter than me. Him and his clerks were a lot smarter than me and explained it a lot better than I could explain it in great detail.
How much, I mean, he got the word yesterday too, right?
He did. Now, that's fine. But then you have somebody whose nose is out of joint and says they want to go en banc.
Judge Thomas, who was the dissenter in your 3-judge panel.
Yep, became the senior judge in the ninth.
Senior judge of the ninth.
And so it goes en banc.
And he sat there and didn't say one word during oral argument.
Yep, and now understand something.
I don't think.
I didn't lose 11-0. It was 7-4. So there was 4 judges on the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals who thought that my argument had legs.
And you realize if Judge O'Scanlan had been on that en banc panel, because 2 of the 3 judges that had been in your 3-judge panel were on the en banc panel. If Judge Scanlon had been on the en banc panel and somebody else, he would have replaced somebody, then it would have been 6-5. You know? It's all playing with the numbers.
It is.
It is.
It is. It's the House.
And who decided who was going to be on that en banc panel?
It's the House. Now it goes to the Supreme Court. And, when the country lost Justice Scalia, they lost the anchor to their ship. The anchor that anchors them to the Founding Fathers, to the original intent of the Constitution. Well, Obama goes to make an appointment, gets held up. Everybody thinks that Hillary's going to win the election. All the polls were pointing towards Hillary. Don't worry about it. We'll get Marlin is his name.
Garlic,
whatever it is.
No, I can't remember.
Garland.
Can't remember.
Garland. Whatever.
Merrick
Merrick
Garland.
Yeah.
Okay,
that guy.
got it.
That guy. he's not as well known as Peruta v.
Well,
California.
he came from the D.C. circuit,
Right.
and he had a case go on bonk that was similar to your. I mean, he was so against, the Second Amendment. I mean, he was very anti-Second Amendment.
The last year and a half, 2 years, ever since Donald Trump walked down the escalator, I had hope that things would change. Well, by God, they have changed. So then you get to this. Merrick Garland is sitting in the wings. An election takes place. An emotional upset victory for the Democrats takes place. And President Trump, President-elect Trump has to wait to get inaugurated before he can make the appointment. And when he gets appointed, he makes his appointment. And I am extremely proud of the fact that the most recent appointment to the United States Supreme Court sided with Justice Thomas in the dissent contained in Peruta v. California.
I mean, he didn't have to join.
He did not. He didn't have to show his cards. He didn't have to tell the world, okay, I believe in the Second Amendment.
But from what I'm reading, he's one of the most outspoken and participatory new justices they've ever had.
Well, he's not sitting there like a rookie surveying the land. He's an associate Supreme Court justice. He's sitting there and he's jumping right into the pool and starting to swim. Congratulations. I'm happy. And again, it goes back to, I got a call from Dana Littlefield, or whatever her name is, from the San Diego Union Tribune. And I'm quoted in the San Diego Union Tribune. And she told me that she had talked to my lawyer. Well, at that point in time, I hadn't talked to Chuck yet. It's okay, I understand. And I said, well, what did Chuck say? And Chuck said, well, you're disappointed, you're da-da-da. And then I saw some text messages, because I get copied, between you and me. Well, Ed's putting on a good face, but I know he's very upset over this. I
know, you got to watch those group texts. You think you're texting one person and the other person is in on it. I realized after I wrote that.
I want everyone to know. And I'm going to be interviewed by somebody at 2 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific.
No, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, I got to have to look at the text again.
5 o'clock our time.
Yeah. I want everybody to know.
Well, let's find out who
that I appreciate the support that I received from all corners of this country. I want to thank the National Rifle Association. I definitely got a return on my dues. I want to thank the California Rifle and Pistol Association. I want to thank Alan Gottlieb and the Second Amendment Foundation.
Well, they had a great win in that case, that Third Circuit case yesterday.
I want to thank Alan Gura for his friendship and, talking to me person to person. I want to thank Gun Owners of America. I want to thank the Connecticut CCDL.
That's kind of where it all started.
Connecticut Carry. I want to thank Attorney Rachel M. Baird for sticking with me through this thing and trying to console me at the loss. Please. And to every person
Well, I want to.
who has posted on
I want to
Facebook.
thank Judge O'Scanlan. That
Judge
decision
O'Scanlan,
was one for the ages. That's what made this case different. This case could have just been a case where went to the Ninth Circuit and think of the different possibilities. What three-judge panel? What was the chance that you would get a three-judge panel in the Ninth Circuit that would rule in your favor? The odds must have been so skewed.
Oh, the bookmakers lost money on that one.
Yeah, so the fact that's what made this case different. You could have just been the district court could have been affirmed at the Ninth Circuit, just some boilerplate, 5-page decision, appeal to the Supreme Court, cert denied. But Judge O'Scanlan is what made this case different. Without him, it wouldn't have developed into what it was.
Or retired Judge Irma Gonzalez.
Right.
But Chuck Michelle, Sean Brady, Michelle and Associates in Long Beach. When other people tried to simply approach me, Chuck Michelle went to Paul Newharth, my lawyer, and asked permission to approach me. And I respected that because I had been working with you, and I kind of know courtesy. You call a lawyer, you ask for permission to speak to him. I want to thank everybody on CalGuns, the CalGuns Foundation, CalGuns, all the internet sites. I want to thank Maryland Shooters, the discussion boards out of Pennsylvania.
And let's not forget, let's thank everybody who supports the Second Amendment, whether they supported you or not, because we all are on the same side. And there may be differences, but the commonalities should overcome those differences. So whatever discussion was had, whatever things were said, if ultimately the motivation was pro-Second Amendment and the right to self-defense, I can overlook the other things. Correct?
Right.
I want to end, and I'm afraid I'm going to tear up when I read this, but this is the last paragraph in Justice Thomas's dissent from the denial of the petition for cert in Ed's case. And this is what he says. Because you know what? This is our mantra. This is what keeps us going, what Justice Thomas articulated in this dissent. And to know that somebody like Justice Thomas understands what we try to do every day, it's very emotional for me.
You want me to read it?
For those of us who work in marbled halls, guarded constantly by a vigilant and dedicated police force, the guarantees of the Second Amendment might seem antiquated and superfluous. But the framers made a clear choice. They reserved to all Americans the right to bear arms for self-defense. I do not think we should stand by idly while a state denies its citizens that right, particularly when their very lives may depend on it. I respectfully dissent. Justice Thomas.
In very few words, said it all.
And that is what we say.
It is. And it's 27, going on 28. I'm going to go back. You can start closing up. And we'll be here tomorrow, and hopefully Master Control will be here.
Yeah, we'll have some more
yeah.
video graphics and all those bells and whistles that Master Control brings with him. He puts pictures up and looks things up when we're talking about it. So we're going to sign off today, Tuesday, June 27th. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you back tomorrow at 7 to 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Oh, wait, Ed, don't turn it off. Ed's going to be doing an interview on AM 760 KFMB in California today at 2 p.m. Pacific Time. Have a great day.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.